So, how about a TWOSUN? Got one right here in this box, but that is not the one we're doing. We're actually going to do that big hunk of junk. It's not a hunk of junk. I don't know why I said hunk of junk. Hunka love a junk or whatever. Man, this thing is awesome. And by request, I'm gonna go ahead and run a video on it. They've been for sale, and so this is the TS313 in M390 steel. And I'm thinking about it. I don't know if the one that's currently being sold is M390 or if they're doing a D2 version. I'll have to look by the end of the video. I'll check it out and see what's actually being sold. But so, man, I've heard tell that this is the first button lock that TWOSUN did. I can't confirm that. I don't know if it is or not. I can say that it's the first one that I bought, the first button lock that I bought from them. And man, I like it. This thing it's built like a tank, runs like a tank, it locks up like a tank. I mean, this thing is digital. It is wonderful. Yeah, good thumb studs. Um, the action, everything on this thing. So, you know what? We're not going to hang out. Let's get in it. I haven't been in it for a really long time, so it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'll get in there and clean it up. I don't think I've carried this knife. I think because it's a behemoth. That is one big knife, dude. Yeah, it is. It's a handful, but it is a comfortable knife. I mean, I dig it. And if you have one and you're carrying it, I get it. Because it is ultra uber comfortable. Yeah. All right. It's a pocket clip. That milling on it, man. So exact that it doesn't want to come out of there. There it is. Now will come apart. I say that, but yeah, look at it here. Hanging on to that tube spacer. Well, let's close that and see if I can't manipulate that a little bit. Nope. Yeah, it's just really super tight, so I'll have to play the game. There's our blade, and it does look dirty. Yep. Yeah, so good. I always like to have a purpose. There we go. And I don't know how that happens, man, but I most definitely didn't oil it back here, but there's oil. And I don't know if it slings it, when you function the knife. It's the only explanation. But, definitely causes me to pause in my criticism of the factory because, man, I clean them up. And if I take it apart like a week later, there's oil throughout. It's like, well, how did that oil get there? I didn't put any back there. I put it on the bearings. It's got to be from slinging it. Come on, man. These things are reluctant to leave the house. You got to get out, live, see the world. Stop hindering me, man. That's the main thing. Ugh. And it's forcing me. Causing all kinds of problems here. Does not, wow, want to come off. All right, I see it. There we go. Man, that's a chunk of titanium there too. The whole thing. This one is a great example of building a big knife. Making a big knife and then building the knife big. Because this thing, all the components, all the steel, everything on this knife is extra heavy duty. This is like, normally these are just feather light, but that's a solid chunk right there. You got these double row bearings, these scales. It's got a nice amount of weight relief. Look at all the holes drilled, and then look at all the weight relief that's been milled out on the inside. They did a good job to try to cut down some weight, but in the end, they left enough of this to where it's substantial. You know, that scales, I mean, it's substantial, as is this one. And I mean, even today, I mean, I don't remember when I bought this, but a lot has come down the pipe since I bought this knife. And even today, I'm going to say that this is a great example of TWOSUN's craftsmanship and quality materials, fit and finish, their ability to, you know, execute. Now, here's something I don't know. It seems to me that the designers submit designs for TWOSUNs, and then TWOSUN, the factory, takes liberties. Like, I don't think that they constrict themselves to make the knife exactly the way that it's submitted by the designer. And I would have thought that that's the way it was. But I don't think that's the way it is. I think that they submit a design, and then TWOSUN does some interpreting, and then they make some choices on materials, fit and finish, you know, things like that, based on the designer's original design. And then it drops the way that it drops. And I've heard enough comments through different stories or whatever situations that I believe that that's the way it is. Now, I could be wrong. I'll throw that out, man. I don't know this to be a fact, but I believe that's what I've observed through other people's conversations. And it would explain some things. When, you know, the OEM is taking the position that in the end they're going to make final decisions on manufacturing and not the designer. So I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean that, I mean, maybe it's the way that they pay also. You know, their pay structure may be, hey, we're gonna pay you a certain way to provide, you know, designs or whatever. You know what? I don't know. I'm just talking over my head now. What do I know? Get talking about how they pay their designers. I should probably just check out of that conversation right there, because I don't know. I'm stupid. I mean, I can tell you that right now. And you could tell by the way I'm putting this knife back together. Stupid. Ask anybody. All right, let's see if I can. One more time up. Oh, that button fell out again. There we go. Finally. Okay. Shiny side up on that washer. I think they're both pretty shiny, but I'm going to go with this side right here. Bearings nice and clean. Throw that down and put a little oily on it. Yeah, so I'm not sure what that rant was about or where I was even going with that, but I can tell you that this thing, I think it's a great showcase in what they're capable of, because this knife is built really well. It's solid, it's built like a tank, and it functions very well. All right. Okay. Got it. Drop that button the same time we drop the blade. Makes that a lot easier. Do that in unison. I mean, it was kind of dirty in here, so I'd say, well, maybe I can improve it. But, I mean, the action on this thing is stupid good. Yeah, it's really good. Spring. So I know I got distracted, and because one of the things I want to talk about is it's one thing to build a big knife. It's another thing to build a big knife to be big. And like even this spring, look at the size of this spring on here. Like they built a big knife that's got big washers and big bearings and big backspacers and hefty scales. I mean, this thing across the board lives up. Like it's not one of those where, you know, I'm messing with a bigger knife and then I go, yeah, that's kind of cheaped out. I mean, I don't find that in this knife. I think they made a commitment to making this thing um, stout and big and ominous, and they saw it through. And I think this knife lives up to that. Make sure everything's functioning. But I got a lot of blade play right there, and it's this screw. Yep, still got a bunch. Picked up a little bit of lock stick, but that blade is still loose, and so it's not going to shock me to have lock stick when the blade's loose. There it goes. Oh man, that thing is sweet. Good grief, it's nice. So if you're any kind of a TWOSUN collector or fan at all, and you like button locks, there's a chance by the time I'm done here that you're going to hear me say, hey, if you can eyeball one of these and you can pick it up, yeah, you should do so. Even if it's just a collector's piece for you and it's not going to go in your pocket. But if it's going to go in your pocket, I think it's perfectly capable. Yeah, look at that. Of being a handful of audaciousness. Yeah, look at this thing. What am I saying? Speak English, man. Be speaking in rhymes and parables. There we go. All right, all cleaned up, all ready to go. Look at this beauty. I mean, this milling, it's got this crosshatch milling, fine milling through the whole scales, both sides. It's got this nice satin finish that's going this direction here, hollow ground blade, and then it's got a swedge grind here that's also semi-vertical. Then the horizontal here, and then the swedge matches this hollow ground. So just a lot going on there, and they committed to making all that work, man. TS313 and M390. Look at the thumb stud on that thing. I mean, look at these dudes. Got Night Morning's design logo, this wonderful milling, and then the pocket clip smooth. Yeah. Now, I don't remember, but I'm not sure about putting a clip, if it's recessed there or if it's going to work in the pants, but we'll run it. We'll find out. Let's run this action. So the button is money. The thumb, there we go. Spidey flick. There we go. Wow, this thing, man. It rings when it comes back, too. Wow. Yeah, so the action, I mean, it's just stellar. I don't know if this is their first button lock, but if it is, man, they hit this thing out of the park. They really did. The action is just wonderful. Let's do ergonomics. So the grip on this is so comfortable. Everything is milled and chamfered and finished in such a way that it's just, look at that rounded edges here. It's just so comfortable. There's a platform here to get to, or you can stay back, and this is kind of a confident grip. I'm going to say just shy of it, only because there's no finger guard. I can't say it's confident because there's no finger guard. If you met resistance with this, the tendency is going to be is that your hand slip and come up over that blade. So for that reason, I gotta say it's not a confident grip. It's shy of being confident. But you can choke up on it. This choil, I mean, you can kind of get down into that, but I find that just shy of that is really the grip. What about that pocket clip? Let's see if it runs. Come on, man. Get over the thick stuff. Let's see you work. Oh, come on. If y'all see that, it was perfect. Small profile. This clip is really nice. It's pretty grippy there. And here's what this does. It reveals the beast that lies beneath. Like that. There's no way to think that that was underneath there. Ominous, man. Intimidating. Yeah. What about regular jean stuff? I almost think that, yeah, it's going to be light on the grip on standard pants. I definitely can increase the tension on that. And voila. Pow. Through the miracles of video, let's see if it's any better. Oh, yeah. Look at that. I mean, yeah, it's got a ton of grip now. Just a little adjustment. Yeah, that's going to be right where you put it when you go to get it. How about my favorite spot back here? Yeah, definitely does not reveal what's lurking below the surface there. Yeah, perfect grip on that clip now. Just need a little tweak, a little bend. No big deal. Blade centering, right on the money. And it's got a little groove cut in there. So, yeah, I can catch that tip all day long. So if you were to reach down in your pocket at right here, if I was with this knife, I have to say that now because I'm getting feedback from a lot of people that go, hey man, I have one of those and I can't touch that tip, or I can't touch that blade. So this knife right now with this blade, my finger, because it may be exactly the same on your knife, but your fat finger can't get in there. So I gotta qualify it, man. I'm telling you, my finger, this knife right now, if I was to reach in my pocket, I can get that so much that 100%, man, it would lay me open. Because, I've said this before. It's not like you're reaching in your pocket like, is there something in there? And you're being really cautious. No, man, you reach in your pocket, you're just like, you're talking to somebody and you're like, hey, I got one in my back pocket, let me get it. And you go, bam, and you put your finger there, and man, that would be a good one. Yeah, that would be a good cut. Let's check this backspacer. The blade contact back here. Yeah, so I can touch that too. As soon as I hit the scales, I'm hitting that blade because it's right at the top. But it's one specific spot. But the way this works, that's a fail. That's a fail. The pocket clip will pass. So, yeah, it's got some safety concerns. Be aware of it. And if you buy one and you get it and you watch this video, don't be surprised. Now, if you get one and it doesn't have that, then, man, good for you. That's awesome. All right. Does it cut? Is this thing sharp? Let's try that front blade first. It's thick, but it's sharp. All right. How about the hollow ground? Yeah. What do you think? Sharp, right? That thing will cut. I mean, it's such a thick piece of metal. You know, I don't have razor blade expectations. I mean, look how thick that is. I mean, it's definitely a quarter of an inch thick at the thickest part, I think. Um, but I still expect it to be sharp, and this thing definitely is. Both of these edges are plenty sharp. Very nice. Price and availability. I'm gonna look it up now and see what's been selling. Okay, about fell out of my chair. Wow. So there's about 6 of these listed on eBay right now, which is not when you're watching this video. So you're not going to go to eBay and find 6 of these, but there's a bunch of them. And DWin, the TWOSUN seller, he's got a couple of them, and they are in fact the same knife. They're the 313 in M390 steel. They're this knife right here. As far as I know, they haven't made any changes or upgrades or improvements. It's the exact same knife. Um, and the auctions that are running, I don't know what they're ending for. Currently, they're under $100 trying to buy this knife. Then there's a bunch from the secondary market. And the secondary market has them anywhere from $250 down to like $180. And then I went to White Mountain Knives, and White Mountain Knives has this knife in stock, this exact knife, and they're asking 190. I think it was 193, but let's say 195. So 10% off. The code's down below in the notes. If you use that 10%, that's 19 off of 190. So what are you, $170 somewhere down in there? So not cheap, man. But it's a beast. It's an absolute beast. I mean, I dig it. And man, I am really glad that I have one in my collection. And I'm glad to have done a video finally on it. It's one of those, man. Yep, unique. Appreciate you watching.